We've been having quite a few failures of birch trees lately, and we've got a couple of them that were side by side here. This could be argued that it's one tree with one root system with two trunks, but the question is now, how safe is that other tree that's leaning towards the structure with the tile roof? It's kind of a dilemma here because a lot of these underground problems are very difficult to identify. Clearly there's a lot of decay in this root system, and well, actually it looks like it's completely rotted. But if I look at this one over here, does it show the same symptoms as this one? And the difficult part about this is, let's go over to the view that we would have had before it broke out of the ground. And there's probably some little areas that could have been investigated, but somebody would have had to recognize that this tree needed an inspection. The fact that there's a double trunk here, it's very clear that there's some decay that got in between. Maybe that was the cause of the whole root rot problem to begin with. We have another birch over here. Of course, that one's not a big issue, even if it falls down. This one over here is an issue. It is leaning towards the house, and if it fell, it would cause some problems. I've had a number of birch trees fall down, and the storm is what pushes it down, but it looks like this tree was ready to go for a long time, and the storm was just gave it that initial push. So, guess I better get the saw out and get to work. You know, the tree looks pretty good. I mean, it's dormant right now, but there aren't any dead branches to speak of. Everything's got flexibility on it. Yeah, now the difficulty is if somebody had asked me to inspect this tree and tell them how safe it was, I would probably not recommend digging up the base and doing a full-on basal crown inspection unless I saw something. And judging by the other trees, well, let's look at this one. Let's see what we've got here. Well, you know, I just spotted something. There is a tree growing out of this tight crotch, and that is a Japanese maple. It's probably got about 6 or 8 inches of root that's going down into this tightness right here. So that means that this union is very much like the union on those two trees. And this side of the tree here, which is towering over the roof, is potentially going to split. This one is a little different type of a union, but always look for evidence, you know, little indicators. When you have things growing out of crotches or growing out of weaknesses, that's a good indicator that this is compromised. So what are we going to do about this tree? Yeah, let's see, looking around the base. Oh boy, we got a sad one here. We got this arbutus, and it's also known as a strawberry tree. It was a focal point tree for these people's front yard, and the entire root system came up and out of the ground. And when I walked around the tree, I see that the ground is very wet, but that shouldn't be enough to take it down, so I'm wondering what kind of weakness is causing the problem. And what we've got here are the mushrooms from Armillaria malea, oak root fungus. These mushrooms are edible too, by the way. Don't take my word for it, but I'm going to take them home and eat them. But when I'm looking at the stump, you can see some of the mycelium down in here that's kind of laced through the ground. This white strand right in through here, and all the roots are soft and punky. And so what we've got here is the Armillaria, the oak root fungus, is through this whole area. And it didn't kill the tree so much as it caused the tree to become so weak that it fell over. The roots became very spongy. I mean, I'm squeezing these roots here, and they're very soft and very mushy. And you can see the mycelium through the soil. Not often I get to get underneath a stump like this, but it's an old arbutus too. They don't normally get that big. I'm guessing this tree is probably 60, 70 years old. And it's a goner now. But getting back to these honey mushrooms, they do look a little bit different than some of the other armillaria mushrooms. And so I'm going to double check. Some of them have got kind of a dark coloration on the top. These are a little bit more yellow looking. So I'm going to go to my mushroom book and thoroughly investigate this little guy here before I consume them. But I'm pretty sure that it's armillaria. And there's different types of armillaria mushrooms too, but they all are wood decaying organisms. They're a type of mushroom that attacks living organisms and kills the tree.